Bill.
My name is Bill Callahan. I blog at Callahan's Cleveland Diary, which I've been doing since 2003, and anybody who reads it knows that I'm off on some tear about some issue I want somebody to do something about every 3 days. Varies from month to month. One of the founders of Meet the Bloggers, which has now morphed itself into Midtown Brews, I think. Those are two things. Well, that's something. One of the things in my life I'm proud of. But I've actually spent the last 40 years working as a professional community organizer in one form or another. I actually moved to Cleveland to take a 10-year job as the energy program director for what was then Ohio Public Interest Campaign. It's now Ohio Citizen Action. And since then I've worked in community organizing, in community development. For the last 10 years, a lot of work on community technology training, digital divide work, and so on. So what all of that has added up for me about is understanding that what Voldis said about networking is the critical civic element, and the critical element for poor people, and the critical element for the health of the community. And people have been doing it in one form or another for a very long time, with or without computer-mediated devices. But in Cleveland, we do it horribly. And we particularly do it horribly up and down the social ladder. So an awful lot of what I'm concerned about is ways that we create opportunities, create capabilities, and create actual events of network building in a way that actually empowers people who need to be empowered for a variety of reasons. And the reason I got into blogging, the reason that we began doing computer training and internet training in a low-income neighborhood on the West Side in 1995, and the reason that I pay attention to a lot of what everybody else in the room is doing is because I think that the technology is an incredible tool that's way underutilized for generalized empowerment and empowerment through network building. The only other thing I should mention, because it's the immediate thing that this week, the reason I'm going to be a downer if we get into a real discussion, is that I for the last year, I've been helping to convene the Foreclosure Action Coalition, which is a bunch of the folks in town who've been dealing with that. So I've been trying very hard for the last week to figure out how to use what network capability I have to affect what was going on in the Congress. And I now have one of those invaluable experiences of I tried it and it didn't work.
Mike.
Yes, Mike Giesing. The advocacy I'm involved in currently is really kind of sort of epitomized by an effort we started up this past summer called the Northeast Ohio Citizens League. And my own involvement started about 10 years ago, actually. I was working there at Cleveland.com in town, and I just did a little kind of white paper on regionalism and the digital economy, because I kind of wondered why there was no .com economy in Northeast Ohio. And I gave that to Richard Chatton at REI. Some of you may know Chatton when he was at REI, and that led to me being involved in a lot of things here in Northeast Ohio. And I met the following fellows who got involved at REI too, last being Ed Morrison. And in the last few years it's been very interesting. There's been more and more issues that have come in front of all of us in Northeast Ohio. But the kind of citizen's voice, I think, as we've all heard this morning, has been missing on a lot of things around here. And so we started to look at what was going on, and there were some really good examples to follow elsewhere. And citizen leagues have had a big effort up in Minneapolis, St. Paul to make some things happen over the last 50 years even. And so we figured, if you're down here in Northeast Ohio, we try a citizen league for the region instead of just the city. There had been one in the city for 100 years, but it collapsed in the late 90s actually. So we fired this up this past summer, and we're making some headway as well. We're working on a local neighborhood forum here in the Cleveland ward right now. And we've also made some progress in trying to put forth an actual Citizens League-led forum on that issue we all know and love here around Northeast Ohio, called the Convention Center MedMart. And that's the most interesting one now too as well, because I think we all realize that that issue has not been aired the way it should. There's a lot of facts that aren't out there, and we just need to look at a real unbiased, nonpartisan approach to really gathering all the facts about that sort of initiative. And we want to set this up as a model to look at more projects like this that have really large impact here in the region. And there's a lot more to it, but that's the nutshell.
And Andy was the one who brought up the question of advocacy. And does business, yes you did, does business have a place with advocacy? Should businesses be thinking about advocacy? That's something that we're all kind of, I think, on the citizen side of it. But Andy, why did you think that advocacy was a good topic for tonight?
Honestly, I don't even remember that, but I'll make something up here.
I know you will.
Well, I think as a young entrepreneur, somebody that owns a business in Cleveland and is hopefully up and coming, I'm really interested in how economically we're going to change Cleveland. And I think every topic that people brought up affects the economy of Cleveland, from green to design to art, everything else that we talk about. And that's what interests me, and how we can bring all these things together to change what is obviously a major topic here in Cleveland. And that's, you know, how we're doing it from that perspective. And as a business owner, it's pretty important to me. So I think that's what I kind of am trying to bring to the table.
We had Brian Cummins who came in, but now he's
eating
eating.
pizza, so
I know.
you should skip dinner.
So we're going to skip you for a bit, Brian, but we're talking about advocacy and why we're all advocates. And actually, Brian is working with, and okay, can you keep pointing to somebody?
Who's the girl in the
Oh,
yellow?
Betsy. I missed Betsy, the advocate. Yes. Okay.
She
So
doesn't
we'll let
advocate
Betsy-
for anything.
Yeah. So what do you want to? So what do you want to add?
Okay, right.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Betsy Markle. I work with iOpen, and I'm a colleague to all of the wonderful people we're meeting here this evening.
And it says on this blog that she's a supreme networker.
Oh,
You network with the
Okay.
Supremes?
yeah.
It's great.
Well, Midtown Brews is over. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it.
No, I mean, this is like amazing. I mean, wow. I mean, what Andy said about design and policy, we've got Ed Hauser here with public policy, Bill with public policy, the sustainable people. We've got the libraries here, you know, we've got colleges, and we're all kind of concerned about how do we network together, I think, and how do we make our voices stronger. I think that's what Mark's question was. So does anybody have any thoughts or ideas of how we can become a stronger voice?
What I thought about was, we all go to all these groups and we all see each other. And part of this is about how do we expand the circle. It's not just how we interconnect better, but how do we expand the circle? Stephanie's publication is a perfect example. Green City Blue Lake, Rio Neo, the Observer Project. How do we create structures to bring more people in, to let people know about the ideas that are circulating here? So many ideas are talked about in the circle, but they don't make it out of the circle.